Hello, class. We have now arrived at the third ideal, and we will look at the marital union reflections. And in this particular recording, we will look at the wedding procession. Let's look at verse number 6 of chapter 3. What is this coming up from the wilderness, like columns of smoke perfumed with myrrh and frankincense, with all scented powders of the merchant? In this sixth reflection, there is a description of the wedding procession sent by Solomon. According to the ancient system of marriage, Solomon sent a wedding party from Jerusalem to Galilee to fetch Shulamit for the ceremony in Jerusalem. In this reflection, we see the wedding party returning towards Jerusalem with the bride already in their midst. This entire section is sung by a chorus witnessing the procession. The scene begins by recording a question from one of the people in the crowd watching the procession. The fact that Shulamit is seen as coming up points to the fact she is approaching Jerusalem. The fact she is coming up from the wilderness tells us the procession came from the north by way of the Jordan Valley and now is approaching Jerusalem by way of the Jericho-Jerusalem road. So she's going up to Jerusalem. Thus the bride has been fetched and is now on the outskirts of Jerusalem, and the people are wondering as to the identity of the procession. And we have the same verse here, but we have other information about it. The royal honors, according to Shulamit, are seen in Solomon's lavish expenditures of spices, making smoke and fragrance, which signals Shulamit's approach from afar. Myrrh was a component of the holy oil in Exodus chapter 30, verses 23 through 25. Frankincense was a component of the holy incense in Exodus chapter 30, verses 34 through 35. The burning of incense caused columns of smoke which marked the procession before and after, and was scented with fragrant powders brought by merchants from the exotic east. Indeed, Solomon treated his bride like the queen she already was to him. Read verse 7 and 8. Behold, it is the traveling couch of Solomon, 60 mighty men around it, of the mighty men of Israel. All of them were wielders of the sword, expert in war. Each man had his sword at his side, guarding against the terrors of the night. Another person in the crowd answers the question of these verses 7 and 8. These two verses identify the wedding procession. The center of attention is the traveling couch of Solomon. The traveling couch, the Hebrew word is mata, was a special royal bed made for the occasion. Thus, she can travel in comfort by lying on the royal couch, which is carried by several men. Next, the protective escorts are described. The wedding party consisted of 60 of the royal palace guards. These men were experienced in war and known for their fighting ability. So, in addition to the royal honor as seen in the spices, Solomon took care to have his bride protected as well. Verses 9 and 10. King Solomon has made for himself a sedan chair from the timber of Lebanon. He made its posts of silver, its back of gold, and its seat of purple fabric, with its interior lovingly fitted out by the daughters of Jerusalem. These verses do not describe further the traveling couch, but rather the marriage bed, aperion. The aperion was a bed with a canopy, hence a bed of state. Shulamit was traveling on the mittah, but in the palace, the aperion, the marriage bed, was for the wedding night what awaits her. A detailed description is given of this bed. The wood used was of the cedar tree, blending it in with the rest of the decor found in the bridal chamber, which we saw back in chapter 1, verse 17. The pillars up at the head of the bed were made of silver. The supports, its legs, were made of gold. The cushion on the divan, which served as a seat or couch, was made of red purple. The interior, the covering which lay on the couch, was made of tapestry. And now we come to verse 11. Go forth, O daughters of Zion, and gaze on King Solomon with the crown with which his mother has crowned him on the day of his wedding and on the day of the gladness of his heart. This verse encourages the daughters of Jerusalem to follow after Solomon as he meets his bride for the wedding ceremony and the wedding procession comes to an end. They are to look at Solomon with the crown on his head. This crown is not the royal crown of his kingship, but a wedding crown. The custom of the ancient world was to crown the groom with a crown on his wedding day. On his wedding day, a groom was considered a king. Hence, Solomon's crown is not the royal crown, but the wedding crown especially made for this occasion by his mother Bathsheba. At this point, the wedding ceremony occurs. The Hebrew word for wedding, hatuna, means to go into or to press into. Thus, it points to the first intercourse as being the act in which marriage is truly consummated.